My wife left for a month-long trial with her lover, claiming she would decide between us afterward, but I made it simple by filing for divorce. At 34 years old, I never imagined my marriage would unravel so suddenly. We had been together for 7 years, married for 3, living in a modest home on a quiet suburban street with friendly neighbors we occasionally chatted with. One of those neighbors had a son, much younger, energetic, and apparently just her type. At first, I noticed her chatting with him outside, on the driveway, in the yard, but I didn't think much of it. She was friendly with everyone. I had no clue it was becoming something more. Then one Saturday morning, she sat me down, visibly tense. She confessed she was developing feelings for him. I was stunned. She apologized, said she was confused, torn between 2 lives. My heart pounded as I asked if she wanted to end our marriage. She shook her head and said, not necessarily, but that she needed time, specifically a month, to explore her feelings for him. She said she would come back with a decision. I was floored by her audacity. She expected me to wait around like a backup plan while she tested her emotions with another man. I tried to talk her out of it, but she stood firm. If I didn't give her space, she said, she'd resent me for holding her back. She framed it as a mature, reasonable compromise. I saw it for what was selfishness masked as soul-searching. She packed her bags and left. I stayed behind, surrounded by silence and a creeping sense of humiliation. I filled my days with work, the gym, nights out with friends, but nothing dulled the sting. Neighbors started talking. Rumors spread that she and the neighbor's son were being spotted all over town, holding hands, laughing, playing house like nothing mattered. It cut deep. Friends questioned why I was tolerating this. My father's words finally woke something in me. If she truly values you, she wouldn't need a month to figure out. And don't forget you have a choice too. That line hit hard. I wasn't powerless. I didn't have to wait for her verdict. I could choose too. So I did. Halfway through a trial run, I met with a divorce attorney. I explained everything. He told me I had every right to file, and we began the paperwork that same day. It was painful, no denying that, but it felt like reclaiming something I'd lost. I kept the decision private, sharing only with close family. I quietly moved some money into a separate account, just in case. Then I began separating our things, mine, hers, shared. Every drawer I emptied, every photo I packed away, reminded me of what we had, but I kept pushing forward, remembering the way she had so casually left me behind. I was done being humiliated. A few days later, someone knocked at my door. It was her friend. She said she'd heard about the trial and came to talk me into being patient, to wait it out while my wife found clarity. I didn't flinch. I told her. She left me for another man. That's not clarity. That's betrayal. Her friend insisted I'd regret acting in haste. I looked her in the eye and replied, I'm not the one who walked away. She doesn't get to have her cake, and eat it too. She left disappointed. I wasn't. The days dragged on, but I no longer checked my phone for messages. I expected her to reach out. She didn't. Maybe she was too happy, or maybe too ashamed. But near the end of the month, I got a single text. Let's talk when I'm back. I'm almost ready to decide. I laughed out loud when I read it. She really believed it was still up to her. Exactly 4 weeks later, she came back. She walked in like nothing had changed. She smiled faintly and said, I've thought a lot. I care about you, so let's figure out how to make this work. Her words carried the weight of a queen returning to reclaim her throne. She told me her time with the neighbor's son had shown her he was fun but immature, not who she imagined long-term. Then she moved toward me and tried to hug me, like her betrayal was just a hiccup. I stayed still. Then I told her. I filed for divorce. Her expression shattered. You what? She gasped. I'm not your second choice, I said calmly. I'm done waiting for you to decide my worth. She lost it. You can't do that. This is our marriage. I just shrugged. You ended it when you walked out. She demanded I reverse the filing, saying I was being hasty. I shook my head. I told her I'd spent weeks thinking, grieving, and deciding. Then she tried tears, real or fake, who knows, But it didn't move me anymore, because somewhere between the betrayal and the silence, I remembered who I was. I chose myself. Claiming she was confused and only wanted to test a bond with a neighbor, she expected understanding. But I found her logic twisted. You test drive a car, not espouse. I told her, marriage isn't something you can rent and return at will. The words hung heavy between us, and she realized I was serious. That day, she stormed off, furious that I had ruined her plan to return on her terms. She ranted about how I was destroying our future, insisting she never truly wanted to leave me. I reminded her that was exactly what she did. She threatened to fight for everything, claiming she'd take half. I remained calm, letting her vent, and once she left, I called my lawyer to update him. He reassured me our case was solid, especially given the affair. She might get something, but not as much as she thought. Over the next few weeks, her approach changed. She started telling mutual friends I had abandoned her without reason, painting me as the cold-hearted villain. I set the record straight with those who cared to listen. Some sided with her. Others stayed neutral. The neighbor's son, apparently, wanted nothing more to do with her, leaving her scrambling for sympathy. She even showed up at my father's house in tears, trying to get him to sway me. He calmly asked her to leave, telling her, "My son's an adult and he's made his decision." Eventually, the divorce process began. With no kids, property division was simpler. She demanded spousal support, arguing that I'd built up assets while she had contributed emotionally. I almost laughed at the irony. Her contribution? Walking out. The lawyers went back and forth, but in the end, we reached a fair settlement. She got some money, but not half. I kept the house I'd bought before the marriage and retained a decent portion of savings. The timeline and evidence of her affair helped that outcome. As the final hearing approached, she made one last attempt. She texted me, reminiscing about the good times and suggesting we could still fix things. I won't lie, memories of happier days crossed my mind, but the image of her packing her bag for someone else overshadowed everything. I replied once, politely but firmly, "You made your choice. I'm following through with mine." She never texted again. On the day of the final hearing, the judge confirmed our agreement. My ex looked tired and a little sad, maybe realizing her plan to choose between me and a neighbor's son had completely backfired. After the paperwork was signed, she stepped toward me in the hallway, eyes red. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never wanted this. I was just confused, bored." I gave a small nod. "Confusion doesn't excuse betrayal," I said. She reached out as if to hug me, but I stepped back. "Let's not make this harder. We're done." She swallowed hard, tears welling up, but she accepted it. I felt a heaviness in my chest, but as I walked out of the courthouse, I also felt something else, finality. The aftermath was surprisingly calm. No more fights. No more begging. When people asked, I kept it simple. She left for a month to test her feelings. When she came back, the papers were ready. My father, never one to say, "I told you so," gave me a quiet, proud smile. I heard my ex moved in with relatives. The neighbor's son had already moved on to someone else, leaving her behind. What a love triangle disaster that turned out to be. Sometimes I catch glimpses of her around town. She avoids eye contact, guilt flickering across her face. There are no more pleas, no more justifications. I think she's exhausted all her efforts, and maybe finally realized you can't treat a spouse like a backup plan. Some mutual acquaintances say she regrets everything. But regret doesn't rebuild what's already been demolished. I hold no illusions about reconciliation. Strangely, I don't feel victorious, just relieved. Free from someone willing to discard me for a fling. Free from the anxiety of waiting to be chosen. Free from my mother's well-meaning pressure about grandchildren. Now I'm free to rebuild my life with honesty and self-respect intact. In a strange way, her month-long trial was a blessing. It exposed who she really was. If boredom led her to another man, then it's better we ended it before things got worse. The divorce settlement wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. I've got closure, and I'm ready to move forward. My father tells me I'll find someone more genuine one day. Someone who won't treat me like a fallback. Maybe he's right. For now, I'm content. I'm focusing on my career, my hobbies, maybe even traveling. The quiet in my home feels peaceful, not lonely. Some nights, I reflect on how fast a marriage can collapse once trust is broken. A single sentence, "I'm leaving for a month to see if I prefer the neighbor," was all it took to destroy everything we had. Will I ever speak to her again? Maybe, but only polite nods if our paths cross. That relationship is gone, replaced by distance and finality. And that, I suppose, is the price she pays for flipping my life upside down while believing she returned with triumphant, "I choose you." But I turn her game around. Let her learn the hard way. I'm nobody's second choice.